Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of This Life, podcast by Mayorca Media. You know who I am. Who am I sitting with?
Jordan Levine.
Jordan Levine.
What's up?
So it's Levine, huh?
Levine.
I said Levine. Bree made fun of me. Bree,
Yeah.
if you're watching, which you're not, and I don't appreciate that, you're wrong. Anyway, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
So I actually wanted you on. We kind of did a member spotlight here at the gym at Iconic.
Yep.
And you talked a little bit about just kind of your life and why you come here and why you do CrossFit.
Yeah.
What stuck out to me is when I was on your Instagram, and let's not lie, we all go on people's Instagrams. Like someone follows you, you go, oh, cool, let's see what's up, you know?
No, I checked you out too.
Yeah, of course. Let's be real.
Come on.
People are always like, oh my God, you stalked him? It's like, yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I went through your stuff and I was like, okay, I saw some stuff about sobriety. I saw some stuff about like fitness. How much did you used to weigh?
See, I was 215, 220, it's right around there, bouncing back and forth. So kind of a hefty boy. I'm skinny, I'm small bone, so it just looked, I definitely looked unhealthy.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
When did you, how much do you weigh now?
So I'm about 170, 165. I kind of bounce back and forth there, depending on what I'm doing.
And the reason I'm not asking because like I'm trying to body shame anyone, but this is kind of your. We spoke about this as well.
Yeah,
it wasn't so much of like I'm just a bigger person, like you just said. It's more of like I was making unhealthy choices, and I was just big.
Yeah.
So were you big your whole life, or?
No, I was pretty active in sports in high school. So I think that's where I kind of got my endurance from. I wrestled in high school. Yeah. So, I was in shape then. Got involved with the wrong crews and started creating those bad habits. So, it was a progression of getting bigger, more out of shape, believing the stories I was telling myself that that's okay because, that's the way my dad or my grandfathers is the way they live life. So it's just okay if I live that way. So
right.
It was a progression, and honestly never thought I would get to where I am today. Like, no way. So
what's crazy is you say that, like, I feel like for a lot of us kind of younger people, we do that. Well, so-and-so drinks all the time and they look great, and like we compare ourselves that way. But in reality, it's unhealthy. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, I drink. I was just talking about how I went to Big Bear and I had a few.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of, and I want to make this public because I want people to kind of hold me accountable. But this month I'm doing the end of March and April, I'm doing kind of like a clean month, April/May. I'm going to be in a wedding and I just want to be a little healthier. I feel so slow. I was telling you today, I had a bunch of ice cream and cookies last night, and then I worked out this morning, and my stomach hurts. Yeah. Like, it's just like in knots. It's feeling better now, but before we keep going and talking about that, I want people to kind of get to know you, and I'm going to ask you some questions.
Let's go.
Hold on, I forgot to write one down. Okay. Ready? Hot seat time. All right. What gives you anxiety?
Anxiety. I would say speaking publicly. So here you go.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Don't you talk to people about like your stuff? I
do.
Dang.
I think it's larger groups that kind of gets me a little bit.
Okay.
It was way. I'm just going to say 3 years ago. I'll use that 3-year mark probably through our conversation. That's when I would really get anxiety because of just
public speaking.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you have to do it a lot?
Unsure. I run a company, so I'm a business owner. So I've got anywhere from 30 to 40 employees at any given time. So yeah, I do speak to them. Like, I have no issues with that. I think it's just, I don't know, maybe people don't know.
Right.
Just, it was an unsureness to myself. Now, today I'm much better at that than I used to be. Like, I would avoid it at all costs.
Yeah. So that's great.
Yeah.
You got to travel. What is it? Travel in the direction of your fears.
Yeah. Jump
That's
in.
awesome.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a man? And I say that in quotes, in your opinion.
First thing that popped in my head was leadership. It's being a great leader. Not only for business. A lot of people think leadership is business. It's not. It's everything. It's in your family. It's leading your wife. It's leading your kids. It's everybody around you. Just setting that example of being a better person, a better version of yourself every day. Waking up and making that choice, and it's a choice.
That's a good one.
So yeah,
I haven't thought of that.
Yeah.
What is your go-to for fun activity?
Fishing. Yeah, I love fishing. I'm very passionate about that ever since I was a little kid. So my dad got us involved with that, me and my brother. So offshore, lakes, rivers, whatever. If I can have a hook at the end of a line, I'm a happy dude.
Have you ever done fly fishing?
Yes, I have.
Dude, that looks so badass.
It's fun.
Just like in the river.
Yeah, the river runs through it. That movie, yeah, we watched that. Just put it on.
Oh, on repeat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As kids, yeah.
Do you have a philosophy you follow for life in general?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just touched on it, just to be a better person every day. Yesterday was yesterday, today's today, and I need to strive and push myself just to be a better person, the better version of myself. I'm never, I see it as I'll never arrive there. So you're constantly chasing,
Right.
chasing that guy, you're chasing that man you want to be.
And you're raising that bar and constantly trying
Absolutely,
to reach
because
it.
if you say you arrived and you're stuck, then that's it. That's you're maxed out. So
100%, especially when like owning a business, you're just like, okay, I hit the numbers, quote unquote.
Exactly.
Now, do I stay here? Do I get bigger? I'm kind of in that little like teeter totter right now where I'm like, all right, am I happy with this? Do I want to do more? Do I want to change it? I totally get that. That's a good one. How important is fitness to you?
Very, very important. So I'm here, I go to CrossFit 5 days a week, and typically I'm running a Saturday or Sunday. So
nice.
It's a big deal to me. When I found fitness or found CrossFit, that community 3 years ago, I've committed, like it's made me a healthy person, not just physically, but mentally as well. And just pushing beyond like what I think I have inside and just pushing that barrier, being a better man, like pushing myself every single day.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's massive.
What was your definitive moment where you decided to make a life change?
Definitive moment. That was February 19, 2018.
Nice. 3 years ago.
Yep, 3 years ago. Things came crashing down. Basically the results of a lot of bad decisions and habits that I had been accumulating over my life, here on earth up to that point, just came crashing down.
Right. So
yeah, it hit a breaking point. You want to call it a rock bottom. Sometimes that's what it takes for a lot of different people.
Yep.
And I found that. So yeah, that was a radical point of the new me, who you're looking at.
The new Jordan.
Exactly.
All right, last question.
Yeah.
What's your vice?
Vice. Oh man. Ice cream?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Me and you were the same.
Yeah, dude.
It just makes me feel like crap after. I'm like,
yeah, gotta be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the last question. Good job.
Right.
Was that a hot seat or?
Hey, let's go.
I think it was lukewarm.
It wasn't bad.
So you talked about, well, actually, let me tell you, you stuck out to me when I was only like working with Iconic. Like I wasn't here at the gym working out here or like didn't have this office.
Yeah.
You stuck out to me because I worked out one time and you were like super supportive. You're like, yeah, great job, man. And I was just like, oh, thanks. Which like, and it's terrible because sometimes it throws you off when someone's like being nice.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me so many times where I'm like, oh, what's up? Okay.
Yeah. What's up with this guy?
Yeah. But like with you, it was like, you were just like genuine. You're like, oh man, great job. Fist bump. And I was like, oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
And then I'd see you at classes that I would be taking pictures at. And you were just always working hard. And I was like, what's that guy's name? And they're like, oh, Jordan. And I was like, all right. forgot about it just kind of in passing.
Yeah.
Fast forward to like working here and doing the spotlight, kind of open up more, and it almost encompasses what this podcast is about, is that everyone has a story. I started this, and you asked me like, how long have you been doing this? But I started this kind of with that idea in mind of like, I'm sick of hearing, like during quarantine, I'm sick of watching Ellen call all her famous friends and be like, oh man, this quarantine is blah blah blah, you know. It's like you're sitting in your $1 million home, you know, 60 million, whatever it is, you're sitting there trying to be relatable. It's like, dude, you have no idea. People have lost their jobs. Yeah, you can't film your show, but you have all this other stuff that you have. You know, people have lost their jobs, people have lost people, or family members. I know COVID is like this, it turns political. I don't care about the politics. It's a thing, you know. People lost something from it, gained something from it. And I was just sick of seeing all these stars like, oh, look, this is rough. Yeah. Really? It's rough.
Come on.
Yeah. Everyone has their own story. And I want to kind of go on a deep dive with you about what that, you talked about February 18th?
19th.
19th?
Yeah.
We talked about that being that definitive moment and everything kind of crashing down. Can you kind of dive a little more into what rock bottom was for you?
Yeah. So we were on my wife and I were on a trip up to Lake Tahoe with some family, and it was kind of a sacred trip. We were going to spread the ashes. Her uncle had passed away, and we were going to spread his ashes up in Tahoe. It was like his place where he loved to be. So, and you know, hanging out with family. It was, I don't know if it was a Saturday or Sunday or whatever. I think it was a Sunday. It was a holiday weekend. And, you know, at that time I was, you know, drinking.
Right.
And, that was my go-to sedation. So if you want to call it that. And, you know, one thing led to the next. We're drinking all day. Then here comes the night. And, you know, at that point, I thought that I had it somewhat under control because I had gone past or broke through that barrier of having too much to drink, or, you know, like
you start blacking out, and
you do that, you fall, you're an idiot, whatever. And you wake up the next morning, you say, I'm not going to do that ever again. I can't tell you how many times I did that. And so I thought I had it under control, and it got the better of me that night. So, I mean, I hit a point where, you know, my wife and I we were driving back to our cabin. We had a beautiful place right on the lake, and I just kind of lost it, and said a bunch of things I truly didn't mean in my heart, but it was the alcohol talking, and it scarred her pretty good. It scared her to the point where she thought she was going to get hurt. And I mean, nothing happened that way, but it was just a lot of words and just me being crazy, like a crazy person. Like it was like someone else came out of me like a demon. So, and I do believe that it's two-dimensional. It's a spiritual thing, and it's also physical. So, so we ended up getting back to the cabin, and it was not good. I realized that what I had done, I had messed up. And again, and you know, we woke up in the morning and she was packing her stuff, and she's like, "We're out of here." And that kind of ended the trip. Very quiet, rough ride home from Tahoe all the way back to San Diego, and picked the kids up and headed home. And then woke up the next morning, and she said, "Pack your stuff. You're out of here. We're done. We're done. We're done." So, and this had happened before, and you know, I was just gonna fix it. I got this, whatever. I'm gonna quit drinking for 60 days. I'm gonna quit drinking for 3 months.
Sounds familiar.
This. I mean, come on, guys. Like everybody, I think a lot of people that had a drinking career like mine has maybe said that at one point. Let's just be real. And I knew she was. It was real this time, and I did. I packed my stuff and ended up moving out of the house. So it caused a separation, and that was, you know, a fracture in our family. I mean, we're on our way to being a broken family, which is not what I not what I wanted.
How many kids?
3 kids.
Three kids.
3 girls. Right now they are 13. One just turned 12 and 6. So
how do they take dad being
moving
out?
That was pretty rough on them. The little one, she didn't quite get it, but there was a point where I had to explain to them, like, here's what's going on.
Yeah.
Daddy's struggling with something, and I love mommy. Like, that's nothing changes with that. I love you guys, and just really had to tell them that I need to deal with some things, and it's going to make daddy a better person. And so that was kind of to navigate around that was pretty tough.
Yeah.
And hard on me, you know.
That's heavy, man.
Yeah.
How long were you married at the time?
So that was 15 years.
Wow. And then she was just like, pack your stuff.
Yeah. We'd been down this path too many times, you know. So she was done at that point. It would just be better for her to not have to deal with that anymore.
Right.
And I didn't blame her.
So that kind of, I want people to listen to your story and understand that, like I said before, we all go through stuff and there's that definitive moment. Now you could have just been like, well, we're done.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't want to see me.
Yeah.
But what did you end up doing?
So yeah, I had a choice. Again, now I look at life as everything's a choice. You have every day you get to wake up and make the right decision or the wrong decision. And so right off the bat, I was like, I mean, honestly, let's call it an addiction, because that's what it was. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I got this. I can do this again. I can put this back together like I did before. Basically put a Band-Aid on it. Right. And I can still drink. Like, I was still stuck in that, like the day after, and that went on for a little while. And, you know, it's not like I was out of the house, completely out of the picture. I moved in with my parents not too far away, still doing kid duties and showing up at the house to get them ready for school, making their breakfast, lunch, helping take them to school. It wasn't like it was completely cut off. I did still see my wife.
Right. But before you go on, how long did that last for?
The whole separation
kind of stuff. Yeah.
Just a tick under 5 months, or about 5 months before
That's a long time.
I was, if you want to call, like, I guess back in the house. Yeah. About 5 months.
Okay.
Was it reconciled at that point?
No.
Not even close.
Okay.
Not even close.
So you were still doing your dad. Sorry I interrupted.
Yeah.
You were still doing your daddy duties.
Yeah.
For like 5 months.
Yeah. That never stopped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then once you move back, does it go back to how it was before? Do you still drink? Do you try to fix it?
It was in that 5 months. I mean, it was so much deep work had happened. You know, I would say about a month in, that was when I really was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done drinking. This can't be in my life. I have to cut this out. It does not serve me. And so that was a huge point of making that decision that I'm not going to do that anymore. And that was kind of the lift off of creating the new person that I wanted to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you still drinking in those 5 months?
No.
Wow.
So that night on February 19th was the last time I ever drank.
That's crazy.
So I stayed away from it because I was, didn't know I was going to have, at least I could say, hey, I didn't drink for 60 days. Can I move back in? That was the story I was telling myself,
Those excuses, man, they're rough. Wow. Oh shoot. I just had a question. I forgot. Yeah. So let's go back to the spreading of the ashes.
Yeah.
That was like a ceremonial time. Why were you drinking?
So, I mean, this is like a 4-day trip.
Okay.
We had spread the ashes, and it was kind of like, let's just hang out. We're going to do the casino.
Right.
We're going to go out to dinner. My wife's cousin, he knows a lot of people in the Tahoe area. So what it led up to is at the top of Harvey's, the casino, like on the rooftop, drinking like the best tequila you could ever have. And boom, that was it.
That's how it starts, man.
It was a progression that led up to that moment. And I slipped, smacked my head a few times. Probably should have went to the ER. It was snowing. I mean, it was it was some pretty crazy weather. So yeah,
So that's bad.
Yeah, my wife didn't even want to take me to the ER.
Wow.
She's like,
figure it out.
good.
Yeah. You need that wake up call.
Yeah.
Man, did you ever have those times? So like I was saying before, like I drink. But with me, and I find this as I'm getting older, I have more of that. I don't really want to get drunk. Like I want to have one beer, and I want to be okay with having one beer. And people are like, dude, you know, and this happened at a trip I went on. People were like, oh, you know, do the beer funnel, and I was like, I'm good. And they were like, come on, man, come on. And finally I was like, you're gonna end up getting pissed because I'm not the type of person to peer pressure.
Yeah.
Because I excuse my language, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying, you know, you're my homie and stuff, and I get you're like, oh, come on. But you keep saying it, and then I'm just gonna take a step back and be like, nah. And now that you want me to do it more, I'm good.
Yeah.
Did you hit that point, or was it always someone's like, come on, take a shot, and you're like, oh, all right, I'll take 40.
I would fold for under pressure like that.
Yeah.
It was typically who I was hanging around with or whatever. I mean, but again, I would always make the choice to grab it. I would just let that get the better of me.
Yeah.
Peer pressure. So yeah, I was the beer bong king, bro.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. Yeah. That was me.
Who were the people you were hanging out with? You don't have to like call them by name, but like that circle. There's kind of that circle of people. It's either, and I always hear like, oh, it's just people from high school, or it's just people from, we went to the military together, or you kind of have that set group, you know?
Yeah.
Who were those?
Man, and I don't want to like section people out as they were a bad influence on me because it was me making those choices.
Right.
But I don't know. It was just certain people that I would hang out with if they were either long-term friends or if it was a family party, and you know, not necessarily they were going to drink as hard as I was, but I was. Yeah,
just because you are.
That's a perfect excuse to do it. I have a reason why to do it, you know. So, and it was like clockwork. My wife could plan it out. Okay, we're going to a family party. Okay, around this, you know. It was just a habit. But you know, I was such an awesome dude. Like if you look from the outside, our family was so put together, and it was. I mean, we're not our kids and aren't in a bad environment. I was never, you know, abusive to them. Yes, maybe with some words, but I mean, that was, you know, raising your voice and stuff. But it was, when you dug down inside, it was kind of messy, and that was like confined within our home. Wow. You know, never talk about it. Just get through it. Wake up hungover. Don't drink for a day. Okay, ease back into it. You know,
so-and-so's coming over. You're like, I'm gonna grab a pack of beer, you know, 6 or something like that, and then that's where it kind of starts again, and it's like a cycle. Yeah, it's a cycle for sure. So you were the fun guy that was like, absolutely, Jordan, invite Jordan, dude, and then
exactly.
I have those friends.
Yeah, let's party. You know, that was if I was going to be there, it was definitely going to be a good time, you know?
Yeah. Just, what was your go-to drink?
I was like a beer snob, so like good IPAs, stuff like that. Yeah. Stuff that makes you belly grow really quick. You know? So, you know, I didn't really care for hard alcohol at all. Nice. I would grab it though if it was there. You know, and there was points where I could say no and not drink too at parties and turn it down a little bit. Right. Because I did, you know, inside you think you have it under control. And then you hit that, you know, 4 or 5 drink mark, and then you lose it and you don't give a shit about anything else. Yeah. And for me, it turned into just being a super selfish person to my wife, my kids, people around me. I wasn't an asshole, but it was me. It was my game. It was my night.
Damn, man.
Right.
And I laugh just because I see these things all the time. Yeah. Like I'm you know, I'm in that realm of, I'm 26 years old. I'm going to have friends that are either going to be on the up and up or they start falling. I've, you know, friends on Snapchat and social, shout out to social media that like, it shows me who's an alcoholic and who's not. There's people out there drinking on like a Monday and just getting absolutely blasted, and I'm like, oh, all right, as long as you're being safe and stuff. But then I'm just like, I don't know if I want to be around that. We're not in college anymore. So
yeah.
Did you go to college?
No, I didn't. No, I did. Well, I guess I did. I went to a local college here, Palomar College, for a couple semesters, but I dove straight into work. I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't even know if it was going to lead to owning a business, but it did. So no, I did not go to college.
What do you do now?
I am president and CEO of a commercial plumbing company, Major Plumbing.
And you did not go to college?
Nope.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that because I've had people on the podcast who are like, I didn't go to college, and they own their own business.
Yeah.
Or they have some sort of something that they absolutely love to do, or just kind of find their own way. It might take them a long time. It might take them, they might have had to go to prison to understand this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to keep doing. Did it affect your work at all, drinking?
It did. So we've been in business for almost 20 years now. And I can look back now and I'm like, I don't even know how it stayed together.
Yeah.
I wasn't drinking at work. Yeah. Sometimes I'd have, some beer at the fridge and after work hours, whatever, hang out with some guys.
Right.
But it definitely affected it. It took my concentration. I wasn't 100%. On Fridays, it's like, okay, it's Friday. Like, I worked hard all week. I busted my ass. I'm going to go home and get, a nice IPA, and
I'm gonna have a few
and indulge in that and make the stress go away, and I think that's kind of the in construction. I mean, I'm sure it is with a lot of other jobs too, that you want to, as a man, you want to reward yourself for the hard work you did,
Yep.
And everybody's got different things what they go to, could be food, could be exercise, it could be alcohol, drugs, whatever. And that was what that was my thing. I just went to alcohol to kind of make that stuff disappear and go away. But I back to did it affect my work? I would say now, if I would have got sober a long time before I did, my company would be in a different position now, much better. So the growth and what we experienced, it was really noticeable right off the bat. In 6 months of being sober, more had happened in our company and growth that happened in 6 years.
Holy
so that's
moly.
insane.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. You can ask anybody that knows my business or employees, and it was that shift with me that took it. I was focusing. I was clear. You're waking up with a clear mind every single morning. You're on point.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And we just talked about this before, how I don't want to go on like a nutrition, sidebar, but what you put in your body is like super important. And I had a bowl of ice cream with cookies last night. This morning, feel like crap.
Yeah.
And I'm like bloated, and I was putting my belt on this morning, and I was like, oh, well, it's a last notch kind of day. So this week, for me, this week is going to be rough.
Yeah.
And I'm starting this little challenge or whatever. I'm doing it with my girlfriend, and we're kind of keeping each other accountable. But you can tell if I have pizza the night before, work out the day after, I feel like crap.
Yeah.
And the same goes with like work. The same goes with like everything. And we get in these bad habits of, I'm going to drink, I'll have one or two, and then wake up the next day and you're still unclear. Like you just have this fogginess in your head, and you're like, well, I'm just tired. Let me put a Band-Aid on it, drink some coffee. That'll get me through the day.
Yeah.
But you don't have breakfast, and you're going to have a shitty lunch because the night before you were drinking, you didn't prep your meals for the next day. And like, that's kind of a chain reaction. And it sounds like that's something that's what you had, was that chain reaction.
Yeah. It was, I would plan my day out, or weekends out on what I was going to drink, who I was going to hang out with. I would have this whole thing planned out. So there was nothing healthy. I wasn't putting anything healthy into me. And I mean, everybody out there listening to this knows that, people that drink, like, you go out and you have a good night drinking, and it's 2:00 in the morning, you want to go get a burrito. You don't give a shit about what that's going to make you feel like. You just want the burrito. That's real. And so you're going to pay for that the next day.
Yep.
even you're gonna have a hangover, and you're just not gonna do anything all day because of your choices of what you ate.
And you might not
at 2
eat
in the morning.
Yep. And you might not eat for the whole day. You might not eat till like 8 p.m. Like
Yeah.
when I've been hungover, and it hasn't really been a lot because I don't really get to that point, but I can't keep anything inside.
Yeah.
I'm just I'll drink water.
Yeah.
Too graphic, whatever.
Yeah.
What's it like being a dad now?
Oh, man,
After that. Actually, hold on. Let me rephrase that. What was it like before? What's it like now?
So before, I thought that I was like super dad, the best dad. And I was a good father for sure. But again, when I was planning out, if it was either family activities or a vacation or whatever like that, I always in the back of my mind had figured out, okay, what am I going to drink? When am I going to do this? When we get on this road trip, okay, I'm going to get there at 5 o'clock. I'm going to make sure it's cold. Like, I mean, this is stuff that you think about. I mean, I'm probably talking to a lot of people out there.
100. You're talking to me, man.
I didn't realize it until I had stopped drinking and like, wow, I really put a lot of effort into planning this out and doing this, and doing that, and who am I going to hang out with, and
it's almost selfish.
It's very selfish. So I was super selfish person.
Wow.
So before I thought I was a great dad, and then once my eyes opened and I became clear, I realized that what I was lacking in and where my faults were as being a father. Now it's incredible. Like it's hard to explain. I mean, my kids even know the difference. It's crazy. We're looking at photo albums last night. We typically go on one big vacation a year, and my wife does like a Shutterfly thing.
I love that.
And we probably got, I don't know, 10 of them. And we were looking through them last night, and they call, the old dad, they call me Fat Dad. And actually, I love it when they call me Fat Dad. And we're going through all these albums, and there's only one with, they call me Skinny Dad. Or the new dad.
Dad. So they recognize that.
Absolutely. Not just physically, but also just everything mentally, like how I'm present, I'm there, I'm in every single moment with them, and just like picking up those little things, like just hanging out with them and spending one-on-one time with them, and that's so massive. I didn't really do that before. When I was unhealthy, I would take them all and we go do stuff, but that one-on-one time is massive for kids, especially your daughters.
100%.
Yeah, it's investing into them that time. It's
especially
amazing.
Being a dad.
Yeah,
being a dad is it's so important, and obviously I'm not, being a mom is important too, but you need that kind of balance of having your dad present and doing those one-on-one things. I've spoken to a lot of parents who right now in my life, there are two things. There's religion that's just kind of spinning around in my head, and then there's being a parent. Yesterday I did some newborn photos for Paula.
Okay, nice. The twins.
The twins. And I've never really been a baby guy. I worked with kids, and I was like, oh, kids are dope, they're so funny. But like babies just kind of, they're like, they're like aliens and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want all that. But yesterday, like the little girl Sophia was getting fussy, and Paula was like, oh, it's okay, baby, it's okay, and kind of calming her and like doing, like moving her legs a little bit, and I just kind of like start rubbing her forehead, and she like looks at me and just is like and just gets calm, and I was like, yeah, well, I want a kid.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm like, it's amazing. I told Paula, I was like, yo, I just got a rush of baby fever, and she's like, really? I was like, yeah, but I don't want kids. 26. Do you have let's talk more definitive moments. Do you have a moment that you remember where you're like, holy shit, I'm a dad, you're my daughter, you're my kid? Is it when they just popped out, or when you had this mental clarity of being sober?
Yeah, I mean, before when I was still drinking, I think, it wasn't actually when she popped out, Elena, she was our first. And I think it was like when they're their first days of school and stuff like that, like seeing them in the yard, taking pictures of them, getting ready to go to school with all their stuff. Like, that was like, dang, I'm a dad, even though was a dad
Yeah.
before that, but
I made
it's
you.
like just that moment of like, dang, I'm sending my daughter off to school, like,
Yeah.
and someone else is going to take care of her. And so, yeah, that was kind of a big deal.
Was that fat dad or was that skinny dad?
Fat dad.
Okay. So you understood, and I kind of want to get to the point of this. Like,
Yeah.
you're a good dude, but you were kind of clouded, I guess, by alcohol.
Yeah.
And you were kind of, your trips, like you're saying, your trips revolved around that. You were still present.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yep.
But maybe mentally you weren't fully there.
Yeah.
I want to take a quick break, but I want to talk about religion with you, and I want to talk about just being a dad in general.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be back.
All right.
We're back. Let's dive into, you told me you went into, like, you follow the spiritual path is what you said it, right? Is that how you said it?
Yeah.
You kind of had like a spiritual awakening. I grew up Catholic, and I made this realization yesterday because I had a conversation about religion with someone. I have a problem with like people telling me what to do. I think that's why I work for myself. But not just that. I have a problem with preaching. I went to a church here in Escondido and it felt very preachy. It was like what you do, you either go to heaven or hell because of it. And it was very one-dimensional to me. And I think I'm still stuck with that. But now that I've spoken with people older, people my age, people that come from different backgrounds, I'm noticing like a trend. There's kind of a change. It's more about individualism and kind of what you bring, to the table to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So that kind of intrigues me. What was the spiritual journey like for you?
So I grew up in the church, Christian church. My parents said it was kind of the rule. We're going to church.
See? Yep.
So, grew up in a church that was, now that I look back, was not the healthiest place, to be at. And it was like, kind of, you're saying, forceful, put upon you, you're going to do this or that.
Right.
In the name of whoever was telling that, not the name of Jesus.
Exactly.
Which is, not right. And, so I felt forced upon me, which scarred me pretty bad. So when I turned 18, the rule is you're going to go to church 3 days a week, or you're not going to live at home.
Wow.
So peace.
Say it. See you.
I'm out. So I bounced.
Wow.
Yeah. So
What
I moved
a rule.
out. I was already I was working. I was making good money. I was doing plumbing and working for somebody. And I got a place with a couple buddies. Dang. And it was. I didn't want anything to do with religion, with God. I just wanted to put it. I didn't want to deal with what at that time. Now I can look back that was the abuse that had to happen through that church and through the leaders that were there. I didn't want anything to do with it, so I turned my back to it.
Wow. So then when did you kind of find that again?
So, me and my wife, we got married. We started going to church just before we got married. And because we were getting some marriage counseling, so we need to go to church. So
Right.
And so we continued to go, but it was like, I'll just make it simple. I was more of playing the church game for a long time. So the better part of, 15 plus years of just going because, my wife wanted me to go, or,
it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. Like, we need to get the kids involved. And we were involved in church. We were involved. But I wasn't fully surrendering. And it's a huge thing. I wanted to do it my way. I wanted to believe in God and ask him into my heart and do all that and go to church. But here's the stipulations and what I want. I still want to do this. I still want to drink. I want to hang out with these. I want to smoke a little weed, whatever,
do whatever I want.
Yeah. And that's not the way it is. Yeah. There's grace and there's all that too. So I was connected, but I wasn't fully connected. And then fast forward to February 19th, and the beginning of that transformation, it was, I would say, about a month to a month and a half after that, had just a massive spiritual awakening. And I'll never forget it. It was at my parents' house. That's where I was staying at the time. And I was just journaling, and I journaled every single night before I went to bed or whatever, for an hour, 2 hours, just writing stuff down, what my day was, what I learned, like how much I love my wife, how much I'm crying, super emotional. Like I'd never done that before. The door was always closed, and just listening to some music, some worship music. And at that point, about a month in, I started going to church, like more often, not because my wife drugged me there or because I thought I had to go, because that's what good people do. It was more because I wanted to experience that I needed. I saw the change that I needed, and I knew that's what it took. I just had to do it. And God came down and grabbed a hold of me that night.
Wow.
I forget the exact date, but it's in, I have it all written down. And
Awesome.
It's awesome. And
so did you find a new church where you were like, oh, this is the place to be, or did you shop around?
It was still the same church, but I was going to other ones in between. Like I was going Wednesdays, I was going Saturday nights. I mean, I was single. I wasn't at home. Like I had time when I didn't have the kids. So I had a lot more extra time on my hand, where normally I'd be, drinking or whatever, or just being selfish.
Yep.
And, indulging in bad habits. And I was that was when things started to shift and creating new good habits. So It was the same church, awesome church. We had attended there for 16 years, and just started getting more connected and talking with other men that had maybe been down this path I had been in, and like asking for advice and it was the beginning of the dying of myself, of letting that go.
Gotcha.
Or
maybe like a rebirth.
Yeah. Cause, the old me was gone. And I wasn't going to go back I kept finding myself saying, I can't wait till things are back to normal. Normal wasn't good, and normal wasn't acceptable any longer. Like it's something completely new. So it was like everything had to transform over. And it started with, at that moment, with my spirituality, when I finally was like, I surrender it all.
Damn.
This is it. Like, here's me raw as a kid, know?
That's deep.
That honestly, for everybody out there listening, that's what it took. 'Cause I couldn't do it myself before. I knew how that ended up every single time,
Dang.
Yeah.
How do you were talking about your parents kind of forcing church on you. How do you do it with your daughters? How do you do religion with your daughters?
So me and my wife, we set the example. So they see what mom and dad are doing. So
You're a
organically,
leader. Yep.
It happens, which comes back to what's being a man. It's being a leader of your household. And, they see that. So it's normal. Like we don't force them to do anything. And it's not that my parents forced it upon us. They were following the leadership within that church.
Right.
So they believe that. So that's where that came from. They eventually stopped going there. But yeah, so it happens organically if it's done right. So we seek God, we follow our children they're watching us. They're always watching, and it just happens. I mean, they
like
want
sponges.
to go. They serve at church. Like they're involved. They're constantly going to sorry, my phone.
Do you have to answer that?
No.
Okay.
This is way too good.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do it themselves.
That's freaking awesome.
It's awesome. It takes, there's no stress there on our part to constantly make them do it. I mean, yeah, our oldest is becoming a teenager, but it's like most people, teenagers are like, oh my gosh, teenage girl, it's gonna be so hard.
Yeah.
She's going not that direction. She's going in the right direction of
Nice.
like wanting to connect with more people at church, wanting to serve, wanting to go to 2 services because she wants to go because she's connecting.
Describe your daughters to me. I always like to ask the parents, I worked with kids, and I always see a kid, and I'm like, as soon as like 20 minutes into the conversation, I'm like, this kid is an athlete, or this kid is super smart, or this kid is like, he's got some catching up to do. One by one, kind of as a dad, how do you see your daughters individually?
So I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. So, Amara, we call her Marmar. She is like a cartoon character.
Dude, see, this is why I always ask, because it's so specific.
She's so different than the other two. And she's just made into her own little self. Like, it's just, she's definitely unique. She's athletic. She's 6, so she's played soccer a couple years. But there's just something about her. She's very loving and caring and wants to help others. And, man, she's got a huge heart. Definitely a huge heart.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She can be a little turd sometimes, but that's just normal.
That's a kid thing.
Yeah. Ari, or Ariana, she's very athletic. She looks more like me, so that she got more of the Levine side than my wife's side. And
poor girl.
I know, right?
Just kidding.
But she's a leader as well on her soccer team. She's an absolute star. She played yesterday, probably the best game I've ever seen her play. She plays defense. They lost, but she just continues to impress me every day. And is just super connected with her friends, and connected at church, and just a loving kid,
That's awesome.
They all are. I mean, I'm describing each one of them, but they're all similar in the way that they love and interact.
I think
with
the
people.
foundation, and that's what the parents build.
Yeah,
is they're either loving and sweet, or they're freaking angry because that's what they see or that's what they feel.
Yeah.
There's always that foundation. But then when I ask the parents, it's always like you were like, man, she's a cartoon. The little one's a cartoon. What's the teenager like?
So she, let's see, she doesn't really tend to jump into things that are going to scare her. So she's a little more safe. She thinks about stuff all the way through. She will jump in and do stuff a little more reserved. So she'll process things through, where Amara, she'll just jump, jump straight in and let's just see what happens. She's super involved with kids at church. Like, she's just genuine and really, the relationships around her, the healthy ones, she really cares for, and she's all in on that. Like, and she loves taking care of people, and just awesome teenager. I can't be more happy with how things are going with her, and the horror stories that people say, like, oh, raising a teenage daughter. I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So we're doing something right. So
that reminds me of, I was working at a summer camp, and your oldest one reminds me of, there was a girl named Ella. She had a little brother, Daniel.
Yeah.
And she was so sweet. She loved hanging out with the little ones. I met her as a 5th grader, and then when I left, I think she was a freshman or something like that. But she became a counselor in training, a CIT, and she was just great with the kids. Then she came back one year, and she was just kind of, she was in her teen years, but like her primitive teen years, where the hormones are going crazy, and she might be mad one second and then cry the other. And I asked the dad, I'm like, hey, dude, you have a teenager now. What's it like? And he just goes, dude, it's terrible. I was like, what? Why? And he's like, yesterday she just started crying. And I was like, why are you crying? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we get that. She's a teenager, so she's going through all that stuff too. Right. But it's you have to take the time. Like, it's an investment. Yeah. Like, your kids are an investment, and time is the best investment to do with them, especially at one-on-one time, like I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's massive.
What about with your wife? And we can end on this. Damn, almost going for 1 hour. What's different with your wife now? How are you being a quote unquote better husband?
So,
besides not drinking,
Yeah. So, I mean, the whole drinking thing it wasn't the alcohol, and that's what I went to. That's what I sedated to. That's how I dealt with stress. That's how I hid. That's how I, put myself away. So that was just affecting our relationship, and it wasn't good. I mean, we made it to that point. It was 15 years, I believe. And that was a miracle. We made it to that point that she actually had the patience to hold on to it and keep it together that long. But there was that breaking point. So just like with me dying to myself and having this new life and just being completely reborn, that also was our marriage. So, what was before was put in the fire. So we started over. The transformation of me and slowly getting back in the house. And it wasn't like, okay, I'm moving back in the house. There was this date. It happened over time. And okay, I'm on the couch, then I'm on the couch closer to the room, and it just slowly progressed like that. And we started dating all over again. So we really wanted to do it the right way and ease back into it. And so she could trust me again, because that's what had happened. There was no trust anymore. That was the biggest thing, because I wasn't a man of my word.
Yeah.
And that doesn't last. You only get away with that for so long, as a husband, and with anything in life. And so fast forward to today, it's absolutely amazing. Like, it's something I thought we would never have before, and it wouldn't have happened without sobriety and me waking up and having that spiritual awakening and just letting go of myself to let God come in and do like the real work. And, it wasn't just me. She had a lot of stuff she had to deal with too. Like it goes both ways. Like this massive transformation, it created space, and space is good. And like, I thank God for that separation. Yeah, it was hard. But through that separation, we were able to really work on ourselves and find, okay, here's the roots to this problem, and identify it and admit that, okay, I need help with this. I need to go see this person. I need to go talk with that person and dive in. And it was like, we leveled everything within our family and started over. All the way to our relationship, to the marriage. Yeah. And people are like, a lot of people don't know the whole story. I mean, people that I know are probably going to see this podcast or going to hear it. So I hope so too.
Support.
And it's good. And it feels good to talk about it. It's just an awesome thing. People need to hear the story. And, the alcohol thing doesn't bother me. Like people maybe think I hate alcohol and this.
Yeah.
I don't at all, man. I can hang out with anybody. I can go to any bar and hang out with buddies and hang around with people that are drinking. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't have a problem with it. That's just me. Like, I don't care what you guys do out there. It's awesome. It's your guys' choice.
Yeah. And what it sounds like with you is you're not the type of person to like push stuff on people. Like you're talking about your kind of awakening as your awakening, not like, man, listen, man, you had, last week you had a bender week and you're making terrible decisions and now you're feeling like this because you're terrible, Yeah. And I think my hesitation with religion is I've met so many of those people where it's like, oh, you don't go to church?
Yeah.
Why? Oh, what are you afraid? What are you afraid to let God in? And I'm like, I had this conversation at a wedding, dude.
Yeah, you're going to run from that.
Yeah, I was working a wedding and they were like, hey, I know so-and-so. And, we had this little conversation and then I go, oh, do you go to men's prayer? And the guy's like, no. Do you? Oh, how do you know about that? And I was like, oh, I have a client who goes. Anyway.
Yeah.
He goes, why don't you go? And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I just don't go. Religion.
Because you're asking me?
Yeah. Religion's not really my thing. And well, why not? Yeah. Are you afraid? What are you afraid? And I'm like, dude, you're like bullying me right now. Like, leave me alone. And I just looked at him. I was like, I got to finish this film. So appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, well, I'll see you around. And like, oh yeah, we'll talk. Yeah. I want to talk to you more about. And I'm like, no, we're not having this conversation.
Yeah. I'm totally against pushing my sobriety on anybody else. It's my journey. I'm telling my journey right now. Everybody else's journey is different, and it's in that timing. So, it's that's what it's about, is your own journey and owning where you're at, even if you're not in the right place.
Right.
Eventually things will cave if you're living an unhealthy lifestyle. And if it's, even with health and eating right and fitness, you're either going to have to work on it now, or you're going to work on it when you're 70, 80 years old with a doctor trying to fix you because you're unhealthy. So, I'd rather do it now.
Yeah. Let me ask you one more question before we run out of time. How was COVID for you? I know a lot of people, like I said, they lost stuff, and I have friends who were like, I just drank the whole time, or I just kind of chilled and there was nothing to do. How was it for you? Was it?
COVID was actually, was good for us. Business, it was fine. We had a couple struggles with some contracts and stuff like that, but it all worked out. We had to shift some things and be flexible with what's going on, not like sit in the mess and listen to the news and stay locked down. We didn't believe in any of that. Yes, we understand there's COVID and it's real and people can die from it, but we kept active.
Yeah.
As a family,
individual liberties, man. We
kept going to church. We were not going to stop doing that. And really just focused on our family and this is our game. This is our family. This is what we're going to do. We're going to continue to do what we're going to do. Yes, we're going to be safe, and God bless that. Like I'm glad we did it so that the kids see that we're not living in fear,
right.
Which is huge for them too. They're not scared to go out of the home or whatever. So it's massive. It was a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not anything super negative except for just, all the shutdowns and trying to do normal things, but we found other things to do.
Yeah. You have to.
Absolutely.
Other healthy things.
Yeah.
Man, I want to thank you for being on here, and I hope if you're listening / watching, you got something from it. Even if you haven't had a struggle with alcohol, if you're having some sort of struggle, if you're maybe in a rut, hopefully, Jordan's stories it's awesome because it's normal.
Yeah.
It's not like, I killed my whole family and now I'm, this is something so extreme.
Yeah.
It's like, I had a problem with alcohol and I let it go a little too far and now I'm, doing better. And usually that's how things go. That's how life is.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you for kind of opening up to myself and my audience.
Yeah.
And sharing your story.
Absolutely, man. It's a pleasure. Like I said, I like talking about it, and it's there's much more to it. We could probably do this for 3 or 4 hours and get deep into it, but maybe for another time, or if anybody wants to reach out to me too.
I was just going to ask you that if someone wants to reach out to you, where can they find you?
You can just hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. Just send me a message.
What's your Instagram?
It's Jordan.Levine.
I'll throw that on there too.
Yeah, throw it on. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Sweet. I always have problems ending the show. Please leave a review, 5 stars. Even if it's a negative review, give me those 5 stars because it's all good. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's where you can find the videos. We are also on Spotify and iTunes. Just look up This Life, one word, or look up Mayorca Media. Follow me on Instagram at Mayorca Media, MAYORCA MEDIA. And hit up Jordan if you want to talk.
Yeah.
All right.
Right on.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I will talk to you later. Another one of the books.